There were moments I thought my kids didn't love me. They only maybe talked about their mom, especially the younger ones. They missed her a lot, and I took it personal. Like I didn't matter. You know, when you're doing all this stuff and you hear that, it's like, ooh, it's a gut punch. But what I've learned with, what I learned will free a lot of you watching this. I want you to stick closely, watch to the end. There's a part here at the end that I think is really helpful for how to get through this when this happens, when you feel this, right? Because what it is that you feel invisible in your own child's life. They talk about her, not you. They cry for her, not you. You plan maybe a lot of things, but they still seem distant. And I want to stop there for a minute because I can just tell you there's hundreds of conversations that I have with dads every single week where this is exactly what they're telling me. They're doing things, they're trying their hardest, and they just feel like their kids are distant. And I've been there, and I feel it, and it hurts, man. It hurts. The older ones, maybe not so much, or it can be a little bit more different. But the younger ones, when that happens, and one of the biggest things that I realized was there's just different moments with children, and I'm going to go through this, where one parent is going to be more memorable than the other. When they're younger, they need their mother. When they're older, they need more of their father. And that's okay. It's just understanding, dads, that you've got to understand what's really going on, not take it personal. These things, some you can control, some you can't. You can't control how they feel about you. You can't control how you show up and how you bring the room, right? Because it feels like a gut punch. You show up, you don't want to feel like a background character. And that's what you do sometimes. Then you get those whispers that they don't love you. And those whispers aren't true. And I'm going to show you here at the end something you can do specifically for those things, because those are important and they will derail you if you don't get a grip on this. So I took this all personal until I didn't. All right. There were weekends where I'd cry after drop off because I just missed them. I'd plan the world, and there's just, and it's funny. It's just one little thing. It would be an entire incredible weekend, and there'd be one little phrase, one little word where they would maybe just say that they missed their mom. And that would just, I feel like that would just take it all away from me. And you know what? It's just pride and it's ego. I'm just telling you just where I'm at. That's what it is. It's pride and it's ego. You know what? Yeah, they love their mom, man. Like, that's okay. That's great. That's great, the things that you're doing. They love their mom. And until you fully forgive that woman in your life, then those things will continually pound on you, weigh on you, bring you down. You'll take them personal. If you haven't watched the forgiveness stuff, go through the videos, watch all the forgiveness stuff, because you will not get free until you have forgiveness. Forgiveness is a gateway drug to freedom. So is accountability. I felt like a failure, and that feeling turns into resentment if you don't deal with it. That's what I just said with forgiveness. If you don't take that resentment, if you haven't handled that, then it will turn into the heaviest weight of your life and will keep you stuck, and it'll keep the lid on your life. So I started studying I got in the Word, started studying about forgiveness, started studying about, children and ages and who they attach themselves to more and more, boys and girls. And you know what? That was freeing. I realized that, you know what? It's actually not me. That's just how kids are. Those are little things that happen. What can I control? That they have a great time, that I am with them, present, having a great time, great tone with them, great love to them, great hugs with them, all those types of great moments. I can control those things. Okay, I can control those things. We got to remember, you're planting seeds, not performing. Your kids don't love you less. They're processing it differently. You're not rejected. You're just not maybe as safe as they feel at that moment. And that's what mothers do. They keep children safe. What do dads do? Dads send them out and take risks. That's what dads are for. Hey, jump off this, take that risk, do hard things, all those, that's dads. Holding them close and keeping them tight. We do that, but that's not our greatest gift of leadership and those sorts of things, right? Your job is not to be the most liked. Your job is to be the most steady, consistent leader, emotionally regulated, present, consistent. You're not forgotten. You're early in the rebuild. And the fruit of fatherhood takes time. So don't give up on what you're planning. And here's what you can do next. All right. This is the part. Stick with me here. Journal the wins. Every single day in my journal, I have a wins column Wins column for work, wins column with kids, wins column in other areas. You have to remember the wins, or your mind will just hinge on the losses. You have to find the wins. You have to remember all the great things. You know, in the Psalms, David was so great about this as he wrote, because he said, I remembered what the Lord did. I remembered his miracles and his greatness in his lives. He remembered those things. There's worksheets and things that we have in the Ascent group for that, reframing some of those things, reframing those wins, reframing those tough moments in your life, and to challenge it with truth. So every time you feel forgotten, I want you to remember this. Your role is legacy and not applause. And I want to put this part here again for a second, because you have got to get the stuff out of your head. You've got to get it on a piece of paper, and you've got to just literally put holes through it, because most of it is not true. And if you're living a life that mostly is not true in your mind, then you're going to build a future that is built on lies rather than on truth, rather than on positivity, rather than on what you're going to do instead of what you don't want to do, or your failures, or those things, or how maybe you missed it with your little girl this weekend, or your son. No. Stack the wins. What you don't measure, you can't manage. I was talking with a guy just the other day, and he was telling me how he's having this guilt trip and these guilt things about his son, and how he feels bad about the family. Now the family's broken up and this and that. And I said, look, man, again, I hear the same thing from hundreds of dads. And if you don't have a measurement system, which is what we have in the Ascent group, of how to measure this, if you can't measure it, then the enemy will continually attack you and bombard your mind with that you're a failure. You're not a good enough dad. You don't spend enough time with your kids. Why? Because you're probably looking on social media at some dad who's the perfect dad that takes his kid camping and is doing all of these incredible things. And then you watch that, and you look at what you're doing, because maybe all you can do is take him to McDonald's, and you feel like a failure. That's not who you're comparing that to. It's you versus you. And when you get a plan in place and you say, look, this is what I am going to do with my children over these dates, and you schedule it, and you put a calendar down, and you get accountable with that calendar, and you can measure and guide and say, you know what, I've taken the time here, I've taken the time here, I've taken the time here. You know what? I'm an awesome dad. And you're accountable to the plan. That's how you move forward in these things. And I just want to put that your way, because I know it's a big thing. Again, more questions, jump into the Ascent group. There's a trial there. It's, if you can afford Netflix, you can afford to be in our group. Those of you wanting an accelerated approach, one-on-one work with me, apply. I'd love to hear more of your story and see if it makes sense for you and for me. And remember this, guys, remember this. God loves you, man. I'll see you on the next one. God bless. Go get it.